What's up, everybody? War Eagle, and it is the 21st of November. That mean, you know what that means? It means we're almost wrapping up the end of college football season. Let me go ahead and waste no time at all and bring on my very fun co-host, Mr. Justin Hicks, up in West Virginia. What's up, brother?
What's up, Tommy D? How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. I'm excited. Auburn finally plays again today. I'm not got to see my team play in the past couple of weeks. It's been about to kill me. So. Luckily, I've had NFL football to hold me over. So
that's one bright side. We had a great game Thursday night. Again, if you've seen the Seahawks Cardinals, turned into a nice little rivalry there with Kyler Murray. Man, that's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really good. What's up, Mr. John? And Wisconsin for the college football playoffs. I don't know about that, brother, but it possibly could happen. I don't know. Like I've said before, I can't give the Big Ten too much love. They kind of come in a little late in the season, and I don't really know how they're going to do this. I guess everybody still has a chance to get in, or whatever the case may be, or however it might end up going. But I don't hate Wisconsin. Let's not get that out there, because I like Wisconsin, but I don't know, man. I don't think it's fair. It's almost not fair that other teams played for so many weeks before the Big Ten finally stepped in and started playing. It's kind of like 12 out there. They're kind of doing the same thing also. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, Utah plays their first game tonight.
Yeah,
and right before we came on, Tommy, who did I mention that may play 5 games and could potentially get a college football playoff spot? Maybe. Wisconsin, and I've got no ill will towards Wisconsin whatsoever, and I'm going to feel bad for them, say, if they can only play 6 or 7 games or 5 or 6 games and take those games, because they could, and then the college football playoff committee says, oh, sorry, y'all only played 6 games.
Right.
This happens, but hopefully they get to play the rest and maybe make up some of these dates. I don't know what we're going to see. It's hard to tell, man.
It is hard to tell. I mean, it's really – I honestly don't even think the NCAA community knows exactly what they're doing. I think they're just kind of like winging the hell out of it. I mean, and really you can't ask them to do anything but that because of the situation it put them in. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're not going to drag football season out for another 2 months so everybody can catch up. I mean, they're just not going to do it. So let's go ahead and move it along to some last week's games. You had Notre Dame and Boston College. I said this was going to be a close game. Notre Dame 45, Boston College 31. Brooke had a 283 yards in this game. I said that I thought Notre Dame might have been a little bit overrated.
To your point, Tommy, they beat Clemson, but you're down Trevor Lawrence, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 3 of their top defensive players that week. And, I mean, they still got the W. I'm not taking anything away from them, but, you're down 4 starters probably going to the NFL.
Right.
That's game-changing, game-altering. And
it is.
And they barely eked by. So I guess the question is, how good is this question for a lot of teams, and we'll get into that later too. How good is Notre Dame, but how bad is the ACC?
Yeah, because I know Boston College is not that great. I've watched them this year. So next up, you had Arkansas and number 6 Florida. Let me tell you, man, Florida is no joke. They hung 63 on the Hogs. I've been saying all year, man, Trask is possibly a Heisman winner this year. Florida's possibly going to a national championship, possibly, if they can get past probably Alabama. And, so Florida is not playing around this year. I mean, they have got nothing but offensive weapons. Their defense is not bad. Arkansas is still trying to put it back together. They've been trying to find the pieces for the past couple of years. They do look better this year than they have in the past, so.
Couple unexpected wins, I guess you would say. But yeah, this should honestly, it's not going to shock me if Florida wins, of course. But you never know with anything nowadays, especially the SEC, man. Like, nothing's a gimme in that conference more than any other.
The reason Notre Dame beat Clemson was because Lawrence didn't play. I'll agree with that. I mean, even though their backup didn't do too bad, I mean, he's still pretty decent, but he's not Lawrence. So Lawrence would have probably got those clutch points right when they really, really needed him. They probably would have blew him away, honestly. I mean, next up, you had number 9 Miami, who's getting back into the top rankings again after suffering that loss weeks and weeks ago against Virginia. An unranked Virginia Tech, 25-24. Miami barely squeaks this one by. This was ACC play. This could be why. I always say that your conference games are always your hardest ones to play, regardless if they're ranked or not. So, can Miami still slip in and get into the playoffs?
The way it's looking, I don't know. I hate to say yes or no because I'm assuming we're still playing the ACC championship. The reason I say that is because we don't know what's going to happen in the next month.
Right.
This time every year we're getting ready to wrap everything up, and we still have Pac-12 is just starting. But with the ACC, the loss from Clemson definitely leaves a space open for Miami, and they benefited from it more than anybody else. I think if Notre Dame gets one, I think they could definitely eke in there. They're just going to have to win a little bit more convincingly to me, Tommy.
Yeah, Miami's not real consistent from what I've seen. They'll have these games where they'll hang 40, then they'll have a game where they can't hardly get it going. So next up you had, which was almost the game of the week to me. I don't give a damn just because of the game. You had number 10 Indiana at Michigan State. Indiana gets another win, 24-0 over Michigan State. I'm loving what Indiana's doing. 320 passing yards in that game, receiving yards for 200. Indiana's shocking the nation right now. There's no way anybody, I don't give a damn. Only Indiana fans said that they might be good this year. Okay. There is not an expert out there that looked at the losers and said, yeah, Indiana's going to sneak in there and get in the top 10.
I said after week one, that was kind of a debatable question. They were pissy and whiny that they didn't get in, but you look at it now, Penn State's 0-4, and Indiana, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, today, if they can pull a miracle, I hate to say that because they've been consistently good, but that's another question. How good is Indiana and how bad is the conference? Hand in hand. We'll see a lot today. Today is the test because it's against the mighty Goliath, Ohio State Buckeyes. To win those first 3, this was the matchup, and this is game of the day already, I believe.
John said the same thing. Game of the week for him is Indiana versus Ohio State. So
I agree, John. I mean, I'm loving the interaction between John right now.
Yeah. Next up, you had some Pac-12 play. We hadn't seen them play all year. You had number 11 Oregon in Washington State. Oregon does what Oregon does. They hang 43 on Washington State, 43-29. They get the win. Oregon looked pretty decent. They looked about like the number 11th, 12th, 13th team somewhere in there in the nation to me. So they've definitely got that right. 321 passing yards, which is kind of shocking. It's not really something you see a whole lot from
this squad, right?
From this squad. Next up, number 13, Wisconsin and Michigan. I'm sorry. I think Jim's gone after this year. Michigan's firing his ass. You could actually see him on the sideline actually watch as he was like looking at the field and looked at the scoreboard, and it's like you could actually see them drawing the papers up in his head. Like, shit, they're about to fire my ass.
Buy out if this and that and this, I still get however many million. Honestly, and I got it in my notes when we get to that game, I feel like today's a must win. The only way he could possibly, I don't care if he wins every game from here on out, Ohio State. That's the kicker right there. You have to beat Ohio State. That's something he hasn't done in his 6 year career at Michigan, or 7 now. John would actually probably know that. I just can't remember off the top, but he's and he's never done a lot of things Michigan expected. So I'm with you, Tommy. I wouldn't be shocked if it's today.
Yeah, for real. Or maybe later on tonight after he loses this other game.
Exactly.
Next up, you had Middle Tennessee and the Thunder and Herd. Thunder and Herd gets this one done again. They're still undefeated, correct? They haven't lost all year. 42-14 over Middle Tennessee. You had SMU and Tulsa. Tulsa squeeze this is one that I can't talk this morning, guys. I'm still half asleep. Number 20, USC and Arizona. This was a good game. It was a late game.
Yeah.
USC squeezes out 34-30 over Arizona in the desert. So both teams looked good to me. It was that type of typical Pac-12 play. There wasn't a whole lot of defense that was being played. It was mostly all offense. USC's got a lot of speed, I see. They're definitely, as usual, probably going to slide in somewhere in there in the pack and give someone a run for their money. Them and Oregon are usually the top teams over there most of the time. So,
yeah,
Oregon has been more here recently, I feel like, than USC has.
Yeah.
But, all it really would take is one good coach to show up at USC, and USC would be back on top, man. They get such good recruits. It's such a big school.
And honestly, I hate this in the Pac-12, but they're not the SEC. They're not even the Big 12, and I got no love for the Big 12. I don't know where to put the Pac-12, honestly, Tommy.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's the SEC, everybody else, and I'm with you. I'm willing to give Clay Helton still at the helm of the Trojans, but I know they're in for that sexy hire if they do get rid of him. We're already talking getting a 2-0 start. But they've been very close margins. He won by, I think, 1 point against Arizona State and then 4 points last week. Could have lost both easily. They may have their guy already there in Graham Harrell as offensive coordinator. But you're right, man. This is they need to, I would say, win a little more convincingly, but these Trojan fans will take it any way they can get it. This is another team, when they're good, it's good for college football, I feel.
Right. Next up, you had one of the talk of the teams of the year, Liberty, taking on Western Carolina. Liberty hangs 58 on them. Of course, one of the biggest talks this year is Hugh Freeze at Liberty. A lot of people want to snag him up maybe and call him over to big rumors of him going maybe possibly to South Carolina.
We'll get a little bit maybe, because when we talk about the South Carolina game, because I actually have a question for you. I won't get into it now, but he's making that resume sexy. He's packed up and he wants back.
You seen the resume I sent of him?
I did.
Next up, you had Northwestern and Purdue. Northwestern wins over Purdue 27-20. Let's see. We'll skip some more of these, but we didn't have a whole lot of good games last week because of all the postpones. Let's see. What might have been another good one? That's all crap. Ole Miss beat South Carolina. We'll jump to that. Ole Miss beat South Carolina 59-42. And of course they gave Mr. Will Muschamp his walking papers, and said thanks, but no thanks, and have fun in your future endeavors. And I'm pretty sure in a couple of years Auburn will be looking for a defensive coordinator and probably hire him back for the third time. So
even within this year, we don't know what's going to happen. Carousel, I expect it to get crazy, but Will is one of those guys, man. You like him, I like him. I love him.
I do. He's a defensive coach to me. He's just not a head coach. He's a defensive coach. When you let him just focus on defense, yes, he will put together a kick-ass defense. Some people, we make this joke a lot of times about a named coach like him gets fired. He goes to the rehabilitation of Saban. Usually Saban will snatch him up and rehabilitate him for a year, and then sends a year or two, and then sends him back. He did Lane that way, and it worked out perfect for Lane. Now Lane's a big name, so.
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Muschamp has had the opportunity since Saban has been at Bama. I could be wrong, But I remember in '09, he was actually on the Texas squad, so he went against his former mentor in Nick Saban in that national championship. So he really hasn't worked for Nick, I don't think, since he's been at Bama. So that would be a huge get right there for Alabama. They just run through them, and Will and Nick are actually very close and all that. So
and they're two, and both of them would be like that defense would be nasty with both of them calling the shots, like putting it together, because Alabama's defense have kind of went on a slope a little bit the past couple of years. Not as good as they used to be. They've kind of flipped over and focused more on offense.
mm-hmm.
So I think it'd be a good combination. Or hell, if Kiffin could grab him over at Ole Miss, that could be a dangerous ass combination right there. Will on defense and Lane on offense. That would be nasty.
And as you said, it's almost vice versa with Lane. If you let him just focus on his offensive game plan and guy like a Will Muschamp or somebody, Will could get a defense going. They can recruit with him. He's got that name value and SEC coaching acumen. So that he could get to. We talked about Ole Miss, actually. I'd kind of be excited if that happened.
Yeah, me too. Not, I mean, well, I say that. That might end up, I might end up eating those words.
Maybe, but maybe not. I see what you're saying.
I tell you what. Fire Gus Malzahn, hire Lane Kiffin, bring in Will for the defense, and you won't hear me argue no more. So.
I feel you on that. Okay, I know, and you are a staunch critic and always have been. That's what I like about you, Tommy. You shoot from the hip, and you say what you mean, and you mean what you say, and you have never been a supporter of Gus.
yeah, I've never have. Well, at one time he might have had my support, but he lost that years and years ago when he lost that national championship and come out after that national championship. Said, we will be back. I guarantee you, we've not been back since. So, yeah, we might be back, Gus, but you probably won't be there with us. So, all right, let's see. Let's go ahead and roll into Thursday's games. You had Buffalo and Bowling Green. Buffalo wins this one. You had Akron and Kent State. Kent State beats them 69. Damn, how'd they hang 69 on them? Ohio, Miami, Ohio was canceled. You had Northern Illinois and Ball State. Ball State beats Northern Illinois. You had Toledo and Eastern Michigan. Toledo wins this one. Western Michigan and Central Michigan. Western Michigan gets the win. Tulane in number 25, Tulsa. Tulsa pulls this one off. In the second overtime, it says, I missed this one. Damn, I wish I'd have seen that game.
That was actually, I think Tulsa was the ranked team, I believe.
Yeah, it was Tulsa. That was number 25.
And they won, but it was like, they were like, and a miracle,
yeah.
But I guess I didn't get to watch it either. I honestly haven't seen highlights, but I've been wanting to go back and watch. And
I'm going to go look now just because I seen it was 2 overtimes.
It makes you wonder what happened, who did what wrong. And that Tulsa and Tulane, I've always even got them confused. I know, obviously, but, they're different places and all that. But they're those terrible T's.
Yeah, those terrible T's. Is it only way you could? One's the green wave and one's not. That's one's green and one's blue. There you go. Next up, you had Syracuse and Louisville. Louisville hangs 30 on Syracuse. Syracuse just keeps getting their ass kicked because Louisville's not a good football team this year. Purdue and Minnesota. Minnesota pulls this one off. Finally, they start getting a win, 34-31 over Purdue. UMass and Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic gets this one done, 24-2. Damn, they got a safety in that game, I guess. New Mexico and Air Force. Air Force hangs 28 on New Mexico, and that's going to do it for all the previous games that's been played. Now we can roll into the top games, and it has not been played yet. The first one they have on the list is number 9, Indiana, and Ohio State. That shit's going to be good, man. I'm telling everyone, you better tune into that game. That game's going to be fire, fire, fire. And I got Indiana beating Ohio State. The way Indiana is just playing right now, I'm a believer. I'm behind them. They're number 9 in the nation. I hate Ohio State. I never want to see Ohio State ever win. I don't care who they're playing. Well, maybe the years they played Alabama, I kind of pulled for them because I hate Alabama so much.
I will say I honestly did that here, and me and you've talked about my feelings on Urban. I pulled for him. I hated to, but just to get a little bit of difference, a different national champion. Man, they're kicking us off with the main event here. It feels like this is the game everybody's been talking about. And again, like I said, Penn State, they barely eke by, but then Michigan and Michigan State, Indiana look like a true contender, honestly. And I'm going to roll with you, Tommy. I'm going to say double upset alert. Although I don't have a ton of faith, I hate saying that, but
I don't either. I think if they do get it, it's going to be one of those blocked field goals kind of moments, or a run back, or some kind of. They're not going to win by much. They're not going to go in there and destroy Ohio State.
This is even if they win, say 48-35, something like that. It's going to be a little bit closer. If they can hang through the first half, they got a puncher's chance throughout the whole game, because they had Ohio State on the ropes a few years ago. I think 2017 or 2018. They can do it again. I really believe that. Indiana, this is your chance. Official.
If they beat Ohio State, you got to put them in the national championship talk. You would have to then at that point, because then that means that would solidify them this year as they're legit. If they go in there and beat Ohio State, then the naysayers really can't say much. Next up, you got number 6 Florida at Vanderbilt, 11 a.m. kickoff time, ESPN. Sorry, Vandy, you're gonna get slaughtered today. Another bad day for Vanderbilt in football. Florida's going to probably hang 60 to 70 on them. If they don't, it's actually a downfall for Florida if they don't hang at least 50 on them. So
this honestly feels like just kind of padding stats to try to get Kyle Trask. Kyle's played all these games. He's very much a leading Heisman candidate. I would say him and Fields right now, if I had to choose. And maybe Zach Wilson from BYU, just because they've got to play every game and they've won in minus Florida dropping that one to Texas A&M. But that's different. It's a conference game. They're going to.
I know my 4 top quarterbacks right now is Trask, Fields, Lawrence, and Mac Jones at Alabama. To me, that's probably like those guys are doing really, really good. Mac Jones has impressed the shit out of me this year. I was hoping he was going to suck. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, we thought he was. We thought.
Yeah.
We seen Tua's brother leave, and we're like, man, Bama's in some trouble.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really. Just another good year another day at the office for Saban. Next up, you got another talk of the year team. Number 15, Coastal Carolina takes on Appalachian State. 11 a.m. kickoff time, ESPN2. I've got Coastal Carolina, of course, in this one.
This is a scary game. We, people say, "Oh, Coastal Carolina don't play anybody." Blah blah blah. Appalachian State is 6-1, and again, the only loss they've had is to my Thundering Herd, baby. But that was on the road. Again, Marshall has become a tough environment to play. But so is State. They are going to be playing at Coastal Carolina. Let me read off a few stats real quick. Appalachian State, 3 running backs, Harrington, Steeples, and Williams, with 350-plus yards at least. 13 touchdowns out of their 17 rushing touchdowns. And on defense, 18 sacks, 10 interceptions, 137 yards off of those with a touchdown. And I don't put yards in unless it's a big-time yardage gap. 7 forced fumbles. I mean, they can play, and then you flip it over, and it's almost identical. 4 rushers, 16 total team rushing touchdowns, including 4 rushers, including quarterback McCall with at least 268 yards or more, some in that 400-yard category. This could be. I'm still going to go Coastal Carolina here, just because it's the dream story. It's the Cinderella team that turns into a werewolf at midnight. That's how I look at it. But man, they got a phenomenal defense. 9 forced fumbles, 5 recoveries, 8 picks, 25 sacks, and 437 tackles. I mean, they've been phenomenal. I'm going to roll with Coastal Carolina, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is a very entertaining game.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty entertaining. I've been trying, I've been keeping an eye on Coastal Carolina ever since they've got ranked, man, and they're still looking good. Next up, you got Stephen F. Austin College versus Memphis. This is a small game, 11 a.m. kickoff time, ESPN Plus. I got Memphis in this game. Next up, you got Illinois and Nebraska. Nebraska's been a letdown the past couple of years, even with the hire of Scott Frost up there. Illinois and Nebraska, 11 a.m. kickoff time. I got Nebraska in this one, just because Illinois sucks.
They do, man, and I'm a Lovey Smith guy in the NFL. For whatever reason, it hasn't translated. It's just like you said, Illinois has really never been good, minus that 1 year where they had like Ron Zook or somebody years ago. I didn't even write stats down because I feel like Scott Frost is eventually going to get his team, but this is tough, man. In his second year dealing with COVID, that hurts recruiting. And he's in a big conference. I mean, whether we think Big Ten sucks or not, I personally do. Minus Ohio State and maybe Indiana.
And maybe Indiana now. So they're looking good.
So, I mean, I'm picking also.
Right. Next up, we got LSU and Arkansas. 11 a.m. kickoff time. These are both two teams who really need a win. Arkansas probably, to me, looks a little bit better than LSU does this year. That's bad to say after LSU coming off a national championship win. LSU has just been bumbling all year. Coach O is not looking up to par now. Team's not looking up to par. They still got a decent football team because it's LSU, but they're struggling hard. I got Arkansas in this one.
I'm going to roll with you, Tommy. And this really wouldn't be an upset just because of the fall off that LSU has seen, losing to so many of these inferior squads. Last year they would have smacked around. They do have a good recruiting class coming in, as always. But they lost a lot of guys. I say people are saying, "Oh, Coach O could be on the hot seat," and I get that. But he won the championship. I think they should give him a little bit of time, just a little bit, because you got to
you got to give him at least another year.
That's right.
You have to see what he can do next year, and next year, if he can win 7 to 8 games, you let him stay another year. And then if he don't do shit that other year, then you fire him. But if he wins 7 or 8 games next year, you have to let him kind of stick around and see what he can do. I think colleges sometimes get a little too impatient, and they expect, I guess, that Saban kind of result. Them show up, have one bad year, then go on national championship wins from then on out. It don't work like that every time. It takes at least 3 years for your recruits to start coming in. At least 3 years for you actually have a team that's really yours, and it don't have a lot of stuff, a lot of players left over from the last one. So,
and depending on what you already have to work with, maybe even longer, maybe 4 years, 5.
Maybe 4 years, 5 years. It takes a minute to build a dynasty. Usually, it don't usually happen overnight, guys. So, I still got Arkansas in this one. I just think they're hungry. Arkansas is getting better and better. They're getting better recruits than what they were getting. Next up, you got. Let's see. We'll skip a couple of these little crappy games. Next up, you got Northern Alabama at number 8 BYU. Shouldn't BYU be number 8?
BYU has ran the table convincingly so far. They beat even Boise State. They knocked Boise State out of the top 25, and Boise State is no joke. That's how much of a beatdown they put on Boise State. BYU is for real. I feel like they should be at least 6th. That's why I'm on the committee. They've got to play every game though, and look lights out. That defense has looked lights out. I think they get it done easily here. I mean, and I'm not knocking North Alabama. I'm saying BYU is that good.
Right. Next up, you got – I lost my spot. There we are. Next up, you got number 7, Cincinnati Bearcats, who is also shocking a lot of people this year at Central Florida, the big mouths of the college football world. Well, not these days anymore. But everybody knows if you watch every week, I give Central Florida fans hell. I don't want to hear too much from y'all these days. What happened? What did you stall out? Did you stall all out? You know what I mean? I mean, is that what happened? I know it's hard to be persistent in college football.
Well, you see, they lost Scott Frost, and
Yep.
for that drum there, they completely, I hate to say it, they fell off the rails a little bit. Not saying, I think Josh Heupel is their head coach right now. Right now, I say, because who knows, he's probably going to get a few offers just because they've had a few injuries, even from last year. But man, it could honestly be a trap game. I feel like Cincinnati, though, if they win this convincingly, they have to move up 2 spots. At least give them a top 5. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
at least.
Somebody back. Notre Dame ain't.
If it was Notre Dame or Alabama, they would do it for them.
They would. That's the truth. And Cincinnati has won every game convincingly on both sides of the ball. I actually wrote a few of their stats down. Riddler is 122 for 183 completions for attempts, 1,483 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 interception ratio, 9 rushing touchdowns for 469 yards, and then 12 interceptions for Cincinnati. I would say they probably lead. They have 3 players, two with 3 interceptions and 1 with 2 interceptions. Those corners are nasty, man. And if Cincinnati wins convincingly again against someone who hasn't shut their mouth since 2011 or whatever it was, I think we got my buddy Shady. What is up, Shady? Another SWA brethren. But yeah, if they win convincingly, you have to come on, man. Give Cincinnati a rub a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, give them something, man. Because like I said, if that would have been Bama or Notre Dame, they would shoot them up to number 5 just because they're the school who they are. Cincinnati has been looking good all year long. So I think they get it done against Central Florida. Next up, you got Wisconsin and Northwestern. 2:30 kickoff time, ABC. This actually could be a trap game for Wisconsin in this one if they're not careful. Northwestern could easily come out here and light their defense up if they don't watch it. Wisconsin has not played in a few weeks until what was it last week they played. They were out for 2 weeks. So, okay, are they still? How many players? I wonder how many players they're missing. See, this is the problem. I don't know who they're missing and who they're not, and how deep they are or anything like that because of the corona stuff. So
yeah, they look pretty deep at running back. I wish John would pop here because Wisconsin seemed to be his team. Maybe Northwestern. Here's the key. I mean, they've played 4 games. They've won 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin has only played 2. They've outscored their opponents 94-18. 11 of those points came from Michigan. The other 7 came from Illinois. Those are 2 of the bottom barrel Big Ten teams, I feel, this year. I mean, as we've seen, Michigan's just dookie. And Illinois, I don't think's won a game yet. So
right,
that's the other question. That's why I can't be like, I don't know what to say about Wisconsin, But today's going to be a tell. It's going to be a telling sign of what we got to say. Because if they can beat Northwestern again, that's a 4-0 team. If they can do that, I'll give them props. But we still don't know what to do about these other scheduled games, Tommy. That's the question. I don't know what we're facing potentially.
I'll still go with Wisconsin in this game. It's at Northwestern, but I'll still go with Wisconsin. I think they might end up stacking up better against them than.
I will also. I love Paul Christ. He's an offensive genius. They use their running backs. They do well. Adequate quarterback play, and I feel like they're going to get it done today.
Right. Next up, you got UCLA at number 11 Oregon, 2:30 kickoff time. I got Oregon win this one probably pretty big. UCLA has just not been able to get together in football in the past couple of years. Every time there was a little bit of rumble from LA there for a minute with UCLA and Cal. They were starting to get some kind of decent recruits out there, but they fell right back off again. So
let me find a note really quick. Here we go. This is my upset alert, baby.
Oh, UCLA over.
This is Chip Kelly's biggest game since he's been back into the college football world, the NFL. This is him facing his the team he built. He built Oregon. I hate to say that because they obviously got Nike and all that. Mario Cristobal, this is nothing to take away from him. But Chip Kelly had one of the best spread offenses.
The worst thing that happened to Chip Kelly was he left Oregon. And the worst thing that happened to Oregon was Chip Kelly left. Because if he would have stayed there and it just kept building like they were building, they probably would be giving Nick Saban and Alabama a run for their money right now.
Absolutely. They would have at least had one national championship. They lost to your Auburn squad, which we ain't complaining about.
Barely. And Cam Newton wasn't even a factor in that game like he should have been. Like barely. We won it by a field goal.
I forget the running back's name. They thought he was down. Was it Dwyer, I believe?
Michael Dyer.
Dyer, okay. He got up and kept. But this year they look a little more offensively efficient. They lost to Colorado, but Colorado is 2-0. They lost, I believe, 48-42. And last week, I forget who they played. So I had it right in my notes, and I didn't write it down. But they won 34-10. So is UCLA back? More offensive firepower. Chip's going to take chances in this game because Oregon is not only his former team, but they are ranked the highest out of every other Pac-12 team. So that's the reason I'm calling. I'm a huge Chip Kelly fan. I'd love to see him get it done for UCLA.
Yeah, me too. We get here and got so deep into football, we ain't took one commercial break. So let's take one real quick.
We've been having fun, man. Sorry.
We've been having fun. That is the Paradigm Shift. Catch it every Wednesday. And to answer Mr. John's question, he just sent me I kind of half-ass answered him there because we was clicking back over. We do a NFL show every Tuesday night. It is called The Huddle. It's with me and Mr. El Presidente Josh and William H.D. Morgan and Mr. Jax. It's every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Central Time. That's our NFL show.
Now, when I do have to fill in for the dropper, the alderman, the man, Brandon Randall, Mr. Jax, I will be sly again, as I thought I was going to be on there the other night. Luckily, he got his Wi-Fi working and all that. He did. But, man, y'all do firework. I love it. Was that the Paradigm Shift the other night, the Brett show? What was that? The Brett Montreal?
Yeah, the Montreal Screw Job. It was a Paradigm show.
Go back and watch that, folks. That was very Tommy. all you guys, I was loving everybody's takes. You had one of the hottest takes about Brett, and you made. I'm a Brett fan and a Sean fan, so it's weird for me. I know a lot
Right.
of people are though, but you saying Brett knew what he was doing. It's his job to do the job, and I was like,
Right.
Tommy's just as right. He's a wrestling promoter.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. This week we got coming up for the paradigm shift. We're going to be talking about the Undertaker, and then the start of December we got the Journeyman tournament that's starting. So give some love to the Journeyman. Guys like Duke the Dumpster and these guys that never got no love. So we're going to do a tournament for them, and it's going to be very, very good. What was the last game that we were on? Let's see.
We did, I believe,
Oregon. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna skip a couple of these little small games. This game right here is probably not big to some people, but I think it is a big game, regardless whether they're ranked or not. And that is the Hawkeyes versus Penn State. I've got the Hawkeyes in this one, just because I got a little bit of love for Iowa. Don't ask me why. I like Penn State too, but Iowa, I just feel like Penn State is definitely should be better than they are right now. Let's just put it that way. I'm kind of disappointed in Penn State a little bit.
I have maybe one reason why Penn State isn't as good this year. I heard this from he's actually a relative, love him to death. Mike, love you, big dog. I'm gonna send this video to you, and you got a reference here at 43 minutes. So remember that. Mike said, "Are we finally seeing James Franklin at Vanderbilt's former coach, Penn State now?" Because I forgot he was at Vanderbilt till you told me we had that conversation.
Yeah.
Are we seeing his actual coaching ability because he's been there now for a good amount of time? He's had a chance to get his players in there.
Mm-hmm.
Is he that good of a coach? I don't see beforehand. I would have put him on a lot of or is this just an off year? This is COVID.
Well, he's had a couple off years since he's been there. You ask me. He's another one of those coaches, just like Chip was at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad for him, and it was bad for Vanderbilt when he left, because I feel like he was really starting to put something together at Vanderbilt. He was actually getting good recruits at Vanderbilt and the SEC, because I think he convinced a lot of these kids to, everybody goes to Alabama, everybody goes here. Won't you come over here and play at Vanderbilt and do something different? And I don't know. I feel like some of them were buying into that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he shouldn't have left Vanderbilt. Now, I know Penn State was a hard job to turn down. That would have been a brilliant, because that's a big school, but the shoes that you have to fill up there is
people will never forgive Paterno, but Penn State has, and when I say that, I'm not knocking those fans, because I guess in a way it sounds weird. I have to. Joe Paterno was the blue blood, blue collar, hard nosed football coach. It is hard to look at him in a negative light still for me. And if that makes me seem like a bad person, you just have to go back and look at what Paterno did. I hate to even get into that whole scandal.
Yeah, me too. It was heartbreaking, man. It was straight up heartbreaking
for everyone involved. But I did want to say real quick, James Franklin is actually stuck a mire of controversy right now, telling one of his players not to go to the cops. There was some kind of physical altercation. Apparently, a knife being pulled. Have you heard about this?
Mm-mm.
I didn't get to read the article, but I've clicked on Penn State 0-4 fighting. It wouldn't shock me if they lose tonight. And Penn State, they've been in the negative light this decade. We'll put it that way.
Right.
From 2010 on, 2009 on. It wouldn't surprise me if they got rid of Franklin if he lost, just because of the whole negative.
Yeah, that was kind of Lane Kiffin's problem for a while when he first started being a head coach. Kiffin was very immature, and it kind of fell into this immaturity drama stuff with his players a lot of times. So, next up, we're going to skip a couple of these. Real quick, I'll look over this one too. I'll take San Diego State over Nevada and California over Oregon State. Next up, you got Kentucky versus the number one team in the nation, Alabama. I'm sorry, Kentucky, but this day's going to be a bad day for you. Bama, I see the Tide hanging 50-60 on Kentucky. Probably hurting them pretty bad, knocking them, slapping them around.
Yeah, I can see that. Hurting Mark Stoops' feelings, making him regret that Kentucky job all those years ago. I will say, though, Mark Stoops, Kentucky's coach, man, he's held tough in there. That is not an easy job.
No, it's not. And just for him to do what he's done since he's been there, I'm damn impressed. Stoops could probably leave for Kentucky and go get a really good job easily. I wouldn't be mad if Auburn hired him. You know,
honestly, he's an offensive mind. He was a coordinator, I believe, at Florida State before he took this Kentucky job.
Mm-hmm.
The man can coach, and he's tied with Bear Bryant for most wins. I believe it's most wins in Kentucky. It has to be. Anything related is most.
Yeah.
So that's no easy task. People haven't done that. Bear Bryant's the only one to do that.
Even Bear Bryant was like, Alabama called, and his ass was gone. He said, it's hard. This is a hard job here, man.
So coaching guys, focus on Mark Stoops. Take you stumping. He's going to take you stumping like a man, but he's going to coach these boys up. That's what he's done since he's been there. I still think they lose by 95, but I really like Mark Stoops.
Yeah, me too. Next up, you got Kansas State, Iowa State, number 17, Iowa State, that is. Iowa State's looking pretty good this year also. I'll take Iowa State in this one. Kansas State has looked bad all year. Next up, you got Virginia Tech and Pitt. This should be a pretty good game. I'm going to take Tech in this one. Pitt just seems like they're always letting me down every time I've been picking them this year.
I ain't even going to pick because that's like asking if I want to be burned alive or drowned.
I feel you. Next up, you got the Tennessee Volunteers going into Auburn, number 23 Auburn, that is. They're back in the rankings, just probably because other teams have lost. It ain't because nothing they did much. 6 o'clock kickoff time, ESPN. I'm going to go with my Tigers in this one. I think Tennessee is just pretty bad this year. I know Auburn is not that great either, but Auburn, I think Gus kind of feels the heat on his ass from the seat a little bit. He knows he has got to do something to start getting some wins in down there. We're about to fire his ass, and he knows it this time go around. I don't even think that he's even selling it anymore to the boosters and anybody else is wanting to hear his excuses anymore. Like it's done got played out. It's the same excuse every year.
He basically knows he has to put his head to the grindstone or nose to the grindstone and go. And this is a perfect game to do it, though. Tennessee has not been right since I forgot who beat them first. I don't think it was Alabama.
I think it was Georgia.
Was it
Georgia?
Right. I don't think they've won a game since, Tommy. And that does not spell good for Tennessee, and that does not spell good for Jeremy Pruitt. He could definitely be fired. He could be let go right now. And now we could get into the coaching carousel again. Does somebody else does a Mark Stoops, does a Will Muschamp? I think Will should slow his roll.
Yeah, I don't see Will getting another big head coaching job right away. He's going to have to go somewhere small if he wants a head coaching job. I don't think no big college is going to hire him. Hugh Freeze could be called.
That was the other name I wanted to bring up because Hugh. I don't know where Hugh is originally from, but when he got I'll never forget this. He got this Ole Miss job, and he said, "Honey, we've made it." Blah blah blah. Then he was probably cheating on his wedding night, but on his wedding night they snuck into a football arena, and he's like, I want to coach in the SEC." Yada yada yada. He'll probably get a Tennessee look. He wants to be in the SEC, man. He is a Southeast cheater. That's what
Southeast cheater.
And I hate knocking on Hugh. He's a Bible boy. Forgive him of his sins, SEC. Let him back in.
Yeah, we don't want him. Next up, you got Mississippi State at number 13, Georgia. Georgia will probably thump Mississippi State pretty bad here. Mississippi State has no defense. They have no running game, and they throw the ball like 70 times a game. So this is not going to work well with as good as Georgia's defense is. They're going to eat them alive, and then they're going to score a bunch on them, probably on offense and defense. I see a lot of interceptions going on in this game just because of how many times they throw the ball. So Georgia safeties and them are going to be ready for all that stuff. The corners are going to eat them alive.
Boys are ready for the NFL draft. But can I say something, Tom? And you may think I am high, and I am not, sir. I have not taken any drugs yet this morning.
Yet.
I'm picking Mississippi State upset alerts.
What?
To take Georgia down.
Oh goodness! I don't know if I could go that route. I ain't gonna lie. I would laugh my ass off. I would laugh my ass. I hate Georgia, so I would roll at that one.
Here are my reasonings, and if I'm wrong, God bless me. I tried. JT Daniels comes in, the USC transfer quarterback, in which Keaton Slovis took his job where he wasn't performing and then he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be his first game, apparently, if it's still on. I don't know. Georgia has struggled offensively, struggled worse beyond repair. I know Mississippi State ain't the best defensively, but Mike Leach is good. He's always been pretty good, even at Washington State early on. He was beating those teams. He would sneak a win in there. He'd beat Oregon.
Right.
He'd lose like his other 7 games. He's 2 and I believe 4 this year. This wouldn't surprise me at all. Maybe 2 and 5. This would not surprise me if he came in, say they finished the season 4 and 8. But this could be that game where it's like Mike Leach, what? Where they just throw it so much and Georgia's so mad. And this could be it though. And it's not a knock. I love Kirby Smart when I say this. I love what he's put together. Offensively, they are stuck in the mud. And if they get in a pissing contest with a Mississippi State offensively, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. So I said it. I'm not high. I'm not drunk, folks.
Okay, we'll see.
That's all.
I'm all for it, man. I hope it happens. I hope it happens.
Again, I love Kirby. I'm not a Georgia fan really, but Kirby has done so well. Here's another thing. I put this in there. Trap game for Georgia. Face Mike Leach and his Bulldogs. Last loss was to Florida, obviously, but their last win after a loss was Kentucky, 14-3. So they're just not performing offensively.
Yeah, very true. We're going to take a small commercial break, and we'll be right back to finish up the last couple of games we got here.
The Seven Nation Army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night, 'cause I can't forget. Oh, back and forth through my mind, I'm a cigarette. And the message coming from my eyes says that you ain't alone. Don't wanna hear about it. Every single one's got a story to tell.
That is the Revolution. Catch it the 29th. We got a stat card of 9 matches. Even a main event where the franchise name is on the line in Revolution. It's going to be very, very good. I cannot wait. I'm pumped. I was so glad when the other show was finally over, just so my stomach would get out of knots. Now the knots are over, the nervousness is over with, and now I'm ready for another one.
And you guys killed it. I missed the first show, but I will be watching the next. Great stuff, Tom. That's your baby.
Yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby. As we announced, the belt is in the works of being ordered this week. We're waiting probably the next day or two. We'll have the design back, the artwork back to make sure everything's correct, and then it'll be put in motion. We should have the belt, I'm hoping, within the next month, about a month's time. This should be about how long it takes or so, around that time. So, all right, next up, this could possibly be a game stealer of the week. Number 14, Oklahoma State at number 18, Oklahoma, 6:30 kickoff time, ABC. I'm predicting this game is going to be very, very good. Just because it's a big rivalry between these two. Yeah. I'm taking O State in this one, though, because I hate the Boomer Sooners.
I hate both being a Big 12, being stuck in the 12 mud. This is Battle of Bedlam, man. This is it. This is as big as it. I shouldn't say that because Oklahoma, Texas is Big 12 also. But I got a few little stats to throw off. Shane Rattler, I know they've won five. I believe they're 5-2. Those early two losses, he was not ready. I think he's a redshirt freshman. Pretty much the first one Lincoln Riley hasn't went out and stole from somewhere like a Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray or whoever. But Rattler, man, he's come back 67.8% passing completions, 2,018 yards. 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Again, they got a three-headed monster in the backfield with the running backs, and then Rattler is comfortable in that system as he is a dual threat. 20 rushing touchdowns, 20 receiving. And again, Mim is a receiver. He's got 7 touchdowns. Benito, 5.5 sacks on the season, linebacker. They have 2 linebackers. One with 5.5, one with 3.5. And man, I know 5.5. How do you? He's got to be leading the country, I would assume.
I would hope, because if there's someone get more than that, I mean, that's someone's. It's not natural to be that good. So I mean,
26 sacks, by the way, for the Oklahoma defense, and then on the OK State side, they got a 2-quarterback system, it seems. And I put Chuba Hubbard, 581 yards, and there so many touchdowns. I believe it was 5 touchdowns out of their total 8 rushing. So is the 2-quarterback system going to work, or are they going to try to throw that linebacking core off? This should be fun, man. Like you said, I'm ready. You picked OK State. I'm going to pick OU just because I hate both so bad. Jim Ross is the only reason I'm picking Oklahoma.
That works for me. Next up, number 21, Liberty at NC State. I got Liberty in this one. Probably win this one pretty big. NC State's kind of a joke, I feel like. They got some good aspects, but Liberty's just rolling this year. So next up, Missouri and South Carolina. Man, that's a hard pick. I guess I'm gonna go with Missouri just because South Carolina just lost Will. So,
yeah. And quick question, Tommy. I know we're getting down to the end of it, and I'm not going to be long asking questions. I did have a few Liberty offensive stats, by the way.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
3,927 total yards of offense, and that quarterback's amazing. He has Willis, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception, 700 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns.
Damn. You almost have to say, like, you'd have to put him in the top 8 quarterbacks or something if he's putting up numbers like that. I mean, I know he's at Liberty, and that's what people's going to argue. He's at Liberty, you don't play nobody, but still, man, if you're putting up that kind of numbers in college ball, you're still pretty damn good.
That offense is so potent. 491 yards per game. But I added this in there because we're talking about South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Athletic director Ray Turner, I listened to this video, it was early this morning. He knows about Will. He said 10-7 games seem like a thing of the past. Not with y'all, it didn't. It seemed like 45-7 because South Carolina just wouldn't get it done. I'm sorry. But he wants to go in offensive direction. I don't know what that means. They mentioned Spurrier, the old Spurrier days, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Is that a Hugh Freeze destination? Hugh Freeze is the talk of the town right now, but this offense looks legit, man.
Did South Carolina fall on like bumped their head? Do they remember that in the Steve Spurrier days, while they got better, they never won a national championship? And my Tigers hung like 40 on their ass in the SEC championship. So like
they didn't mention that, by the way.
No, of course they didn't mention that. So I mean, like, why? I guess maybe other than, I guess that I hate to say this, but that's probably about the gist of South Carolina's football history is the fact that they had Steve Spurrier there. So
yeah,
that's, I guess that maybe be why they try to lean that way to give the fans hope or something. I wouldn't mind seeing Hugh Freeze go up there. I mean, I think it would be a good fit for him. As far as Missouri, like I said, as far as Missouri and South Carolina goes, though, when you lose a head coach like that, usually that's going to give the other team the edge. So it's going to be a close game, though. I think still. I think South Carolina come out and play with pride just because they just lost their coach. So it's going. I don't think Missouri is going to kill them. I think it'll still be a close game. So. Should be pretty good. That one was 6:30 kickoff time, by the way, SEC Network alternate channel. Next up, we got one of the talk of the towns, Michigan at Rutgers.
Lord Jesus, do we have to?
I'm just going to pick. I'm not even going into details about this one. I got Michigan in this one. I think Michigan lucks up and wins this game just out of pride.
I don't know. I've picked Michigan each and every week. They've let me down. I honestly thought, I really did, Tommy, this was going to be Michigan's year. That quarterback is so stagnant and stale, and then he's their leading rusher when you have two running backs that are at least serviceable, pretty good. Oh, my gosh. Or he was. I don't know if he is now. I can't trust Michigan anymore, and I don't know why I should. They stole Rich Rodriguez from us anyway. Why should? Why? When Rich was still rich.
When Rich was still the talk of the top coaches.
Yeah, and I put, as I said earlier, will more heads roll? Maybe the entire Big Ten with Michigan and Penn State leading the way. Both teams underperforming so bad. I think they lose again. I really do. I don't know, something about it. Jim Harbaugh just seems checked out, as you said earlier.
Yeah, he definitely does. Next up, you got Arizona and Washington, another two teams I've really not seen play a lot. I'm just going to toss one in the old hat and say I'll go with Washington in this one over Arizona. Next up, you got USC and Utah, another team, two teams we ain't seen a whole lot. I watched USC last week. USC has speed. I'll just go in with USC in this one because, like I said, it's a toss-up in the dark almost. We've not seen enough of the pack to really be able to tell who's good and who's not. To me, I can't never tell nothing about a team until about 3 or 4 games in. It takes at least that many games for me to make sure that their defense is either clicking or if they got a running game or whatever it is. So,
and Utah hasn't even played a game yet.
Yeah, and Utah hasn't even played yet. So I gotta go. Yeah, I'll go USC definitely in that one.
USC's played cardiac cat here lately, coming back week, last 2 weeks. But hopefully for their sake, like I said, when USC is good, I know my friends hate when I say this, but when they're good, it's good for college football regionally. You have those West Coast teams or West Coast teams that can say, "Oh, we got USC." Okay, well, back east and south, we have Alabama, we have Auburn, we have Georgia, we have Florida, we have basically everybody.
Yeah, basically. When they're good, though, but you're right, though, because when they're good, it makes the teams that you never thought would step up, like a Arizona, because I've seen Arizona step up before, or an Arizona State, or a UCLA or something, or a Washington team or something. So it actually makes their conference better when USC's better. But
it really
The whole conference has sucked as of late. The only team that's really been good has been Oregon. So
you're exactly right, and that's why they need that second team. Colorado was a few years ago that lasted one season.
they got the last game on the schedule. 10 o'clock kickoff time. Hawaii and Boise State. They're at Hawaii, so Boise had to make the travel down there for it. I love it when they play at Hawaii. I think Hawaii's got one of the most gorgeous stadiums in all of football. It's so big, it's so pretty out there where it sits. Just because it's a night game, I'm going Hawaii in this one. I think Hawaii. I guess we would call that an upset. Would we call that an upset?
I think Boise State's only lost one to BYU, so that's an upset.
Yeah, we'll call that one for the last game of the. We had some games that was postponed and canceled, and of course, if they're postponed, they'll try to play them at a later date. If they're canceled, they're probably not going to play them at all. You had number 4 Clemson and Florida State postponed.
That postponed.
Yeah, Florida State's probably thankful for that one. Next up, you had Ole Miss and number 5 Texas A&M that's been postponed. Georgia Tech and number 12 Miami, Charlotte and number 15 Marshall, number 22 Texas, and Kansas has been postponed. You got a canceled one here. Central Arkansas and Louisville, number 24. Louisiana, number 24 Louisiana. They probably went ahead and canceled that one because it probably wouldn't have affected any kind of outcome. Next up, you had Michigan State at Maryland. That one also has been canceled. Wake Forest at Duke, that's been postponed. Why that one wouldn't cancel, I don't know. Houston at SMU.
Some of these they canceled not because of Corona, but because of ratings, because they just suck.
Yeah, just because they suck. Wake Forest at Duke postponed. Houston at SMU postponed. UL Monroe at Louisiana Tech has been canceled. University of Las Vegas and Colorado State canceled. San Jose. Why can I never say that freaking name? It's the roll of all that S and that J in the middle. San Jose State and Fresno State has been canceled. You got Navy and South Florida and postponed. Arizona State and Colorado has been canceled, and Washington State and Stanford has been canceled, and that's all the canceled games. So that was a pretty good bit, but at least this week it wasn't all the top teams, because last week it seemed like it was all the top, like the top 10, just about. We had what number 2 Notre Dame out of almost the whole top 10 that played, besides like Indiana.
I think that was it. I think you're right. Maybe Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And here I have one argument, and you actually brought my attention to this. Texas A&M is not bowl eligible, correct? They can't go to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't Cincinnati move up in their spot?
I say it every time. I've said it 100 times on the show. I don't think it's fair that when a team's on probation, they should be taking a ranking spot. I think that's the stupidest thing in the world. If you want to give them if you wanted to put a 5 and give them an asterisk beside it, and put Cincinnati at 5 without an asterisk, I wouldn't have no problem with that.
I love that.
If you did it some kind of way like that, that way you could still say, okay, we played up to a number 5 school this year, but we couldn't go to a bowl because we was on probation. You could still show your recruits that. It still would help you in recruiting, and it don't hurt no one, because I hate that, man. You'll have sometimes 3 teams in the top 25 that shouldn't even be ranked because they're on probation.
That's exactly. I've never heard. I love that idea, because it's not necessarily those kids' fault,
Yeah.
Well, most of the kids' fault most of the time that they're on probation. It's coaches and maybe a couple players or whatever. But that is fair to everyone. And I would love to see that. The first time I've heard that, and I like that idea.
Maybe I should write Nick Saban, and he can write the NCAA. Then they'd listen.
You should. You ain't even gonna fool with Gus. You ain't even gonna throw one.
They keep Gus on block.
Gus is like me trying to holler at these ladies at 12 o'clock on Facebook. Y'all know who you are now. Y'all know who
you know who you are. You know who you are. You ain't watching right now because you're up all night talking, but you know who you are. All right, guys, we're going to pretty much almost wrap it up. That's going to be us for our Saturday show. Me and Justin has been talking. We're going to try to maybe in the next week or two come on Friday night or something and do or maybe sit through a Saturday. I don't know. I almost feel like if we do it Saturday, it would be too long between the football also. So it might be a really long show, and that I don't think no one wants to watch a 3-hour show like that about sports. So I know I would, but some people wouldn't.
Right. Oh, I get we're two of the studliest guys in social media, but I get why some people, they got things to do. And
yeah, I mean, that's what's great about it being on the page. They can always go back and watch it later. But even then, 3 hours I would probably skip some of it. Be honest with you. Maybe do it. We probably could do it for next Friday night or something like that. We could sit down and at least do a top 25 breakdown of the top 25 basketball team, college basketball teams.
I would like that a lot. That's still, that's still preliminary, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Maybe talk a small little bit about NBA. I know Will and those guys said that they're going to try to start covering NBA on Tuesdays when the NFL season is over.
Okay, that's not a bad. December 22nd, it's here, and those boys are already starting camp and free agency. It's been a wild week for basketball in general. But you being an Auburn fan, me being a West Virginia fan, my team definitely isn't going anywhere in football. So I welcome the basketball. Please come back.
Yes. My team's average at football. I'm ready for basketball so I can pull for Bruce Pearl and Auburn because.
Hey, I pull for Bruce Pearl myself. I love Bruce, coach. And I did honestly. I'm a coach. I'm a coach lover. I like a lot of coaches, but Bruce is definitely up there. I love him to death. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Make sure to catch up. We'll do a little quick shameless plug. Make sure you catch The Huddle every Tuesday at 9:00 Central for your NFL stuff. Paradigm Shift every Wednesday at 9:00 Central. Like I said, this week we will be talking about The Undertaker. And then in December we will start our journeyman tournament. If you don't know what a journeyman is, it's a polite way of saying jobber, because some people in the wrestling world, jobbers disrespectful to call them jobbers. Thursday night, you got the Total Nonstop podcast with your new host. I have turned that show over to Gene. Gene will be putting together the show every week. So, Gene the Moosin.
We're proud of them. We love our Canadian brethren.
Right. And as I said, Friday nights, we're going to start doing the basketball talk a little bit going into the college football week. And then, of course, as Saturday, we have the top 25 gridiron. And every bi-weekly week, you have the promo show, The Revolution. So Pinfall has got a stat card. I know we got Will too. Also, let's not forget William H.D. Morgan and the Geek Gauntlet every Saturday night at, I believe it's 7:00 Central Time. Don't hold that to me. I think it's 7.
I think it's 7 Central. It might be 8. I always watch the Gauntlet, and tonight they're going to have a new, I guess it's tonight, correct? They're going to be coming up with some new stuff. Obviously, a lot of stuff been going on in the world of entertainment. But I'm ready, man. I love the Gauntlet.
Yeah, me too. It's a really cool show. Oh, here we go. Ta-da! There you go. There's our times for everything. The Geek Gauntlet, 7 p.m. Central Time. So, yeah, 7 p.m. is the time for that. If you would like to try to get aboard the team and you got an idea for a podcast, please get with me or Mr. Josh or Brandon Randall or any of us here at Pinfall. All right, guys, that's going to pretty much wrap us up. And we will see you next week, where I will probably be bitching about my Auburn Tigers. I'm pretty sure, because they'll make a couple of mistakes today. That's what they do. War Eagle, and happy Saturday, everybody.